Hey, happy Monday. I hope you're having a great day. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about meditation because it's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, specifically when you feel like meditation isn't working for you. This is something that I hear a lot, and my clients have told me the same thing. People will ask us, how do you stay so calm? Or I noticed that you seem so much less stressed. What are you doing for stress management? What works for you? And honestly, there's so many different tools that you can use. But for me and a lot of the people that I've worked with, meditation has been a simple tool that's helped us be like really successful with that. And quite often the reaction I get and that they've gotten is saying, oh, well, I've tried to meditate, it doesn't work for me, or I don't like it. And honestly, that resonates with me so much because the first couple of times that I tried to meditate, I didn't like it either. I was like, no way is this gonna work. In fact, I tossed my phone across the room the first time because I was like, this is just silly. Like, I don't see how this is ever gonna help me feel less stressed. And then I took a break. I didn't try it again for a while, and I had a friend make some suggestions, and it started to work. So I wanted to share some of those things that have helped it work for me and worked for the people that I work with. So the first thing is just kind of understanding how meditation works. So when you are meditating, it's not only taking a few minutes out of your day where you're going to feel peaceful and relaxed. I mean, that often happens too. But when you meditate, you are literally retraining your brain how to think and how to process thoughts. You're expanding your awareness and literally rewiring your neurological pathways, so you can become more of the observer of your thoughts instead of someone who's caught up in them and reacting immediately. So big changes like that take a lot of time, right? And one of the best metaphors that I can use for this is think about dieting and exercise. All right, so if you start to follow a diet and you have like big goals in terms of how much weight you want to lose, body composition changes you want to see, if you just follow that diet for a day or a couple of days and then you stop, you might see a little small change, if at all, but you're definitely not going to meet those big goals after just a couple of times. Same thing with workouts. If you go to the gym once or twice, but then you don't go anymore, you're not going to reach your goals. We reach our goals after following diets and exercise for day after day after day over a long period of time. It's that cumulative effect that leads to the big change. So the same thing is true with meditation. Like, it might feel good while you're doing it, but if you don't do it for long enough, you're not going to see that big change. So a big key, and we can use the same metaphor, like I think it's really important if you're following a diet or following a workout program, enjoying it is really important. And there are a couple of key things that you can do with meditations that should help you enjoy it more. And these are the things that I mentioned earlier that have really helped me. So the first thing is starting really small. So if there are a lot of meditations out there that are 20, 30, 45 minutes, even some that are over an hour. And if you start off with those when you haven't done it before, or you've only done it a handful of times, that is going to feel like trying to run a marathon when you haven't even been able to run a mile yet. So I use an app called Insight Timer that I love because you can filter by time, by the category, and by the person who's leading the meditation. So you can pick some, you can find a bunch that will be 5 minutes or less, and I would start there and stick with that until you feel really comfortable with it and you're enjoying it more and you feel like you can go for a little longer. The second thing that can make it much more enjoyable is finding a person's voice that works for you and categories that speak to what you really need. And that was one of my biggest issues when I first started, is like it just kind of, it wasn't really targeted, and I knew what I needed help with, but didn't feel like that was what I was getting. And I also didn't really jive with the person who was leading the guided meditation. I didn't jive with his voice. So finding somebody that you can really vibe with, I think that's important too. And there are a lot of guided meditations out there. A lot of people think of meditation as like sitting in silence and just being alone with your thoughts, and it doesn't have to be like that at all. Now, there's some like expert meditators who've meditated for years and decades who can do that. I've meditated for several years, and I always have music or a guided meditation on, just to help and make it a more enjoyable experience. So find someone's voice that you really like, and then also make sure that the category of the meditation is something that you're needing. And if YouTube is also a really great resource. If you don't like Insight Timer, you can't find the app because you can search for exactly what you need and the different lengths of time, but they have categories for anxiety and stress. If you're needing help with sleep, there's sleep meditations. If you feel like you need some deep healing, there's meditations for that. So just kind of take some time and explore it and figure out what you really need. And then once you've kind of found your groove with that, it should feel much easier to stick with. And when you're liking it, you're enjoying it, and it's something that you look forward to doing every day or several times a week, this is where it's easy to stick with it and for it to become a habit, something you can stay really consistent with. And when that happens, that is when you are going to start to see some great results as you continue to stick with it over the long term. So I hope these tips have been helpful and that you will give meditation a try. If you haven't done it, maybe this will motivate you to try it for the first time. If you tried it before and it didn't stick, I hope it will motivate you and encourage you to try it again. So good luck. Let me know if it helps.